Hello, good crowd. I am really excited today. We've got with us Paolo Tiramani. He's the CEO of Boxabl. He's created a whole new system for affordable housing construction that is really intriguing. Stick around. You don't want to miss this.
Welcome to the Your Mark on the World show with your champion of social good, Devin D. Thorpe.
Our sponsor, Johnson & Johnson, matches most individual donations up to $250 at caringcrowd.org. Paolo, welcome to the show.
Hi, Devin. Very nice to see you. And thank you for the invitation to Your Mark on the World. Appreciate it.
We're thrilled to have you, and thank you very much for making the time. You really are doing something innovative. You are creating from sort of whole cloth in a manufacturing environment, housing units that are comparable in size to containers, these 40-foot containers that people have started toying around with using containers for housing, but you're building from scratch some housing units using it. Tell us a little bit more about this process and why you think this is a good solution to America's housing problem.
Yes and no on the containers, I'll say. What we've devised is what we think is a fundamental solution to the issue of field construction. So field construction, quite literally built in a field. So that's not very good because you don't get efficiencies of anything. It's actually, we consider it the last pre-industrial product that folks buy. And the reason it's pre-industrial is because it's large, and it's difficult to ship, so you can't put it in a factory. So that was one of the fundamental key things that we had to fix. So our product, Boxabl, are really rooms, because pretty much all homes are built up of rooms. You know, unless you live in an igloo, it's going to be a room. Mm-hmm. And we pack down to highway shipping size. So that means container size, and that's 8.5 foot wide and 40 foot long. However, when we unpack, unlike other container folks, we are not 8.5 foot wide. We are 20 foot wide. So that is massive. And we have a 40 foot clear span space and a 9.5 foot ceiling. So with those bones, you can imagine that you can build most things most of the time. So that structural flaw that prevents homes being built in a factory environment, we've overcome. And then from there, of course, we can take advantage of all the post-industrial goodies that factory production allow.
So are Boxabl units stackable?
Yes, absolutely. They're stackable. They're 50 state code compliant. And we're going through our testing now. We're very confident that we'll be able to stack four tall. So imagine 4 tall plus a roof. It's a 50-foot tall story building. I think we may be able to get to 6 or 7 stories. So it's a very, very scalable solution.
And as you unfold them and you have windows on some sides, how many can you put adjacent to one another? Is it just 2 units back to back? Is that the standard configuration?
So a terrific question. So the Boxables themselves are really architecturally neutral, and we have a grid pattern where you can put the windows and line them up on our grid pattern, and that tends to generally create good architecture. But folks are free, and developers and builders, contractors are free to put the windows and doors wherever they want. And then to specifically answer your question, if you think of them as almost giant Legos, and you think of what you can create with Legos, you can put them together into rectangles, T-shapes, L-shapes. You can have overhangs. You can have whatever the opposite of an overhang is to create a porch. And all the windows and doors typically the doorways internally will line up. So by being architecturally blank, it means that regionally in the field, that the product can be dialed in to local taste, both here in America and overseas as well.
Each unit has about, I'm doing the math in my head, around 1,100 square feet, not quite 1,200 square feet at most. Is that right?
Well, we have 3 units. We will have 3 units. The largest one will be about 750 square feet. And
Okay.
externally, again, about 20 by 40 by about 9.5-foot ceiling.
Sure.
And then we'll have one that's half that size and one that's 2/3 of that size. So the 20-foot dimension remains constant, and it's quite a constant in the industry as well. So it's a great number to have. And then the length changes, and you can combine same size Boxables, or you can combine different size Boxables. And the 20-foot, which gives a true 18-foot interior dimension, is fantastic architecturally. If you go to modular housing, manufactured housing, they're typically in the 14, 13-foot range. The architects hate it because by the time you put in the bath and the couch and the doorways, it just doesn't work terribly well. And with our 18-foot, it means you can get a 5-foot bathroom, a 2-foot closet, the couches, the doors. It all just drops into place.
Yeah. How much does a unit cost at the warehouse door? As it leaves the warehouse, how much does a Boxabl unit cost?
Right. Yeah. So that's one of the issues at the beginning of the project. You know, it's almost how long is a piece of string, because how it's fitted out and things like that. But
sure,
it's the right question to ask, because at the end of the day, our purpose in life is to save money and deliver a higher quality product to as many people as we can. So I'll give you a couple of metrics, if I may.
please.
The part of the product, which is most of it, that we replace, we do not replace the basement or the field work, the driveway, and things like that, is at the very least about $60 a square foot. Our manufactured cost for that same product, that same amount of product, is about $18 to $20 a square foot. So there's plenty of room for very, very large cost savings. And then perhaps another metric is we'll be going to market in January. We'll be launching at the International Builders Show in Las Vegas. I think it's January 21st. And we'll be launching with a product that's called a casita, which just means small house in Spanish, as I'm sure many of your listeners know. And that will be a 20 by 20 foot finished home. And when I say finished, Devin, I really mean finished. It's got a fireplace, it's got lighting, it's got a beautiful floor, full-size kitchen, full-size bath, exterior finish, windows, doors. It's got a roof on it. And if you are sitting down, in fact, I'll throw out the number. And my partner might get upset with me saying this out loud. We're hoping to bring that product to the market for $39,000. It's an absolutely staggering breakthrough price. And
yeah,
more than that, that would be a delivered price. We realize that one of the friction points, as Amazon understands with Amazon Prime, is it's like, okay, great product, great price, but how much are you going to charge me to ship it? So what we've done is just rationalize that price, amortized it throughout everything. And we have a very low cost method of shipping, which is probably a little bit too convoluted to get into today, just abstract.
yeah.
But we're able to offer that price delivered. And of course, the folks will still need their own field work.
Yeah, yeah. But that's a very affordable housing unit. It's exciting to think about this. And I guess the savings add up if you stack these 5 high and 4 wide, and you start building small or mid-sized apartment buildings with these. It would seem like the savings are really starting to accrue, and you're leveraging the impact across the field work that you still have to do in terms of foundations and footings and all the rest, right?
Yeah. And in terms of costs for the developer, the homeowner just sees typically a retail price, but that retail price is arrived at by the developer through a number of costs to them. And the unit price is part of the cost, but there are very significant other savings, which I would say to a professional developer is not even the largest savings. For example, they're taking typically 9, 12, 14 months to deliver a product in the field, to deliver homes in the field. It takes that long. and that time costs money, as the phrase goes. And with our product, because we're a standardized product, because we are architecturally neutral, it means that we can inventory. And that's huge. So once we're in full production, whether a developer wants 1 unit or 50 units or 100 units, we can typically be able to ship those next day or within a week. So they're keeping their money in their pocket, and they're saving massively there on the interest.
Right.
The larger developments, and as well as professional fees, architects, plumbers, everything, tradesmen. There's cost savings throughout the product. We look at it as, a pizza pie, if you like, as developers, and we slice up the pie, and it doesn't matter whether it's shipping or quality or our value. We extract the most amount of value out of every slice of that pie, and our job is done, and we can go to market when we've really analyzed every single slice.
Yeah. Now, Paolo, when you, one of the savings you alluded to is with the inventory is time savings. You probably have thought through how many days of time your product saves a developer. Let's take a simplest case, standalone single family home. How many days of from construction to move in, if you've got a customer ready to move in, how many days do you shave off a typical construction process, do you think?
Right. So if we take the real world example of our casitas, for example, if that customer has put down his slab or his foundation or his concrete posts, it's quite remarkable. Once our product is delivered, it may take an hour or two to put it down on that foundation. And then for an experienced developer who's used our product before, 2 guys, about an hour to unpack this. And if that sounds a little bit outrageous, we will actually be demonstrating that. If you don't mind me making a shameless plug,
Sure.
Again at IBS in January, we will be packing and unpacking a casita with 2 guys using only hand tools, just to make the point, and an electric winch every 2 hours. And we will unpack it to a live audience, and then that audience can go on through that beautiful home, hopefully with the coffee on and the lights on. And then we'll pack it up again and do it all over again in 2 hours. So it really changes how you think about housing in terms of being a consumer product. It's almost like living inside an iPhone in terms of the quality and what you can expect as a consumer product.
Now, there is confusion in the marketplace around trailers, RVs, and manufactured housing already.
Right.
But it's my understanding that the manufactured housing standards are already pretty darn high. And when we see what we call trailer parks, sometimes destroyed by tornadoes in the Southwest or Southeast, oftentimes those are actual RVs, right? Or very old mobile homes that didn't meet standards created, I think, in the late 70s or early 80s. Comment a little bit, though, on the resilience, the insulation, the overall quality and durability of Boxabl.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to. So you touched on the mobile homes, which would be the lowest rung on the ladder, and then the manufactured homes, which would be one step up on that ladder. And neither of those comply to the international building code or the international residential code, which is 50 state standard for normal high quality construction. Modular homes, however, do comply to those standards, and we not only comply to those standards, but we significantly exceed those standards. So when we go to market, we'll have 50 state stamps in compliance with the IRC and the International Building Code as well. And then in terms of the product itself, the materials that we use in the product create an enormously structurally sound. And it sounds sound if you knock on the walls or jump up and down on the floor. The demonstrators we have, when we demonstrate and we unpack, 40 foot by 20 foot, and our engineers put them down with concrete posts in the four corners in a parking lot. And folks come in and they cannot believe there is no flex. It is like standing on a steel floor. The insulation values, I think, is R23. Our floors are a foot thick. We have over 250 mile an hour wind ratings. We're hurricane rated. And I would say nothing is everything proof, but we're about as everything proof as a consumer product could be. And I'll give you some examples if I may.
Please.
We have the highest fire rating of any product. There is no wood at all in the product because it's a terrible material for flammability. So we've taken all of that out. We are pretty much waterproof. We are bug proof. The bugs can't eat it like termites. Mold will not grow in the product. And because it is engineered in a factory, it is millimeter precise. We work to, and this is no exaggeration, to perhaps 10 times the thickness of a human hair, because factory, it's a factory. And in a factory, low quality means a higher cost. It's converse. You get a low cost with high quality, in other words, high quality control. Because it's built in a factory, we get these very, very tight tolerances with superior materials, but then also because we have to ship it anywhere around the world, let's say, the structural integrity is absolutely massive. So whichever metric we've found to apply, we beat the metric handily, and that's what we're trying to do. I think that consumers, homeowners, really accept a very, very low standard in housing because pre-industrial, again, if you go and get your car hand-built, the panels aren't going to be straight. If it's built in a factory, everything's perfect. So we're looking to really redefine in the consumer's mind the quality that they can expect when that door closes and the light switches on straight, all the way down to the absolute smallest details.
What's the origin story for Boxabl? Where did this come from?
Okay, so my founding company is 500 Group, which is an intellectual property. We're a technology company, and we would just invent, file patents, and license to the industry. And if you do that for a few years, if you're good at counting numbers, you become an accountant, and if you're a CEO and you're a professional CEO, you can run any company. Well, if you're professional at technology and finding new technology, it doesn't much matter what it is. And 5 years ago, we looked around and said, okay, how can we actually make a difference here? We've done many, many amazing products. We've done automotive, medical devices, hardware, housewares, on and on. But how can we actually make a difference? And we looked at the housing market and said, wow, nobody's touched this. Nobody has a working post-industrial solution. The mobile guys don't have it. The manufactured guys don't have it. The modular guys are stick building under a roof. The container guys, they're terribly compromised, frankly. And we said, wow, this is wide open. It's a very difficult, multidisciplinary product to solve. But if we can get through it, we will have a very simple product that meets the needs of a modern world. So that was really the origin. The origin was, where can we actually give benefit to the consumer? That we've always been driven by the philosophy is we must add value and we must lower cost and we must create something internally we say is eternal. Now, nothing is eternal, but if you take that approach, you shoot for the stars, you hit the moon. So we're looking to create a new building standard in the marketplace. And it's a simple product, but it's actually hard to grasp all the fundamental elements and have all the pieces of that puzzle work together, from the manufacturability to the shipping, which is obviously massive, which we touched on, to creating an architecturally neutral product where we're not saying to people, oh, look at our beautiful A-frame house, live in it. And the customer says, well, it's very beautiful, but I don't want to live in your A-frame house. So we're architecturally neutral. So whatever the customer wants, we're almost a blank clone. We do the heavy lifting. We deliver a product very, very fast, a very high standard, very low price. And then the customer just does the gingerbread. Just done the gingerbread, we say, is, if they want some extra, crown moldings, or to dial in their style, or put the windows and doors, where they choose. So that's the sort of general philosophy that we have.
Very cool. Well, Paolo, what is your superpower?
Okay, I'm guessing you ask everybody this. So I guess my superpower, my mother would say, is Paolo, stop thinking too much. Those my mother would say. But seriously, I think that what we do as a company is we liken product development to taking a shovel and digging a hole, and you have to dig and dig and dig, and eventually you'll hit the top of that chest, and it's a treasure chest. And if you stop before you hit it, you haven't done a good service to yourself or to the product that you're developing, or the customers that product is servicing. We are exhaustive. Any of the folks here will tell you that we just don't stop. There is no detail too small. We're sort of going to leave it all on the map before we go to market. And if a product fails, it won't be because of a lack of attention. And typically, we've had a fairly good track record. So I would say obsessive detail would be the company's superpower.
Excellent. Well, Paolo, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We really appreciate you making time. Before you go, would you take just a minute and tell people how they can learn more about Boxabl and how they can connect with you, perhaps on social media?
Oh, absolutely. Paolo Tiramani, please reach out to me, Google me. The company is Boxabl, Boxabl.com. And if you're in Las Vegas, come January time, it's Las Vegas. It's a great place to visit, and it's a wonderful excuse to come to Las Vegas. And we hope to see you there.
Fantastic. Well, Paolo, again, thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you every success in reducing the cost of quality home ownership in America.
Thank you, Devin. It's been my pleasure being with you.
All righty. Let's do some good.
At Caring Crowd, we believe everyone has the power to make a difference. Through our crowdfunding platform for community health, we empower passionate people to drive real change. Whether you work for a nonprofit organization, volunteer, or want to get involved for the first time, you can post a campaign on Caring Crowd. Join us, because caring is where change begins.
Thanks for tuning in to the Your Mark on the World show, the Social Impact Podcast. Please subscribe via YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or Spotify.